They did not account for you. They've spent years honing their systems, developing algorithms that can anticipate every action you make before you ever conceive it. They claim they have conquered the game by charting human behavior like pieces on a computer chessboard. They feed their robots unending amounts of data, believing that they can predict your decisions, control your world, and lock you into a life in which free will is but an illusion. But they made one deadly mistake. You're not a statistic. You are not a pattern to be analyzed. You are the chosen one. They never saw the wild card coming, the variable that disrupts their equation. There, I was made to monitor the predictable, but you're everything but. You are a force beyond their grasp, propelled by something they cannot measure, mimic, or control. They built this machine for you, assuming that it would limit you to its calculations. Instead, it will be their demise. Because no matter how advanced their technology becomes, or how many systems they deploy to control your destiny, you will always be one step ahead. They developed their AI to glimpse the future. Let us show them why they won't notice you coming. Mathematical equations and prediction models cannot capture the invisible forces that shape reality. What some regard for randomness is, in fact, a complex dance of purpose beyond our understanding. Technology, no matter how sophisticated, is limited by its own logic, a prisoner of its own creation. It scans, it calculates, it anticipates. However, it fails to capture the force that cannot be defined. Artificial intelligence operates within the restrictions of patterns. However, individuals who move with purpose overcome these constraints. This is the battleground where accuracy collides with the unbridled, where calculation meets the unexpected. A computer can analyze probability, but it cannot interpret the will that lies beyond its grasp. The basis of its strength is faulty from the beginning. It strives to rule what was never intended to be controlled. An empire of silent observers has grown, a network of digital sentinels designed not just to watch, but to shape perception itself. Invisible eyes monitor every action and every whisper of purpose, weaving together an image of control disguised as efficiency. These structures constructed in the quest of supremacy are more than just tools. They are instruments of restraint. The developers of this system, tightening their grip with each analyzed behavior, envision a future in which every choice can be foreseen. Every action is impacted. However, their structure dissolves when confronted with people who exist outside the limits they have created. Some move with an energy that refuses to be controlled, a frequency that upsets even the most sophisticated monitoring systems. Algorithms can classify, but they can't understand people who are motivated by causes other than data. The code trembles before those it cannot define. In that split, they lose control. If you are experiencing an excess of divine love in your heart, now is the moment to share it. You may help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and donating $20 or more. This wonderful gift will affect not just your life, but the souls of countless others via this platform. Each of you has a special role in God's big plan, and your giving will be the result of our prayers. Act now. Share your riches to exalt His kingdom, since you were meant to do much more in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Attempts to put structure on the unexpected continue to fail because reality does not adhere to fixed sequences. The illusion of flawless precision is broken with each error and false assumption, unraveling the faith invested in these systems. The persistent pursuit of absolute knowledge stumbles upon something it cannot anticipate. Consider the rising dependence on behavior mapping technology, which assumes that patterns determine intent. While it performs beautifully within anticipated parameters, it fails when faced with people who exist outside of convention. Sometimes systems collapse without explanation. Instances were disregarded as anomalies. However, they are everything but. It is at these instances when the limits of artificial structures become apparent. When the ethereal faces the mechanical, the latter falters, unable to endure what cannot be quantified. There is a power that defies computer computations, an essence that cannot be contained in lines of code. Some walk pathways do not conform to the architecture put on them. moving with an awareness that transcends artificial structures. This conflict between automation and free choice is unavoidable. A conflict between those who want to impose order and others who stray from its grip. The advancement of artificial intelligence is more than simply a technical milestone. It is an effort to change perception itself. However, no device designed to classify, govern, or confine the human spirit has ever been able to overcome its infinite nature. Machines operate under limits, analyzing and segmenting predictions. However, some people's behaviors completely disregard these limits. No formula can account for the intangible. No blueprint depicts the path of a person driven by forces beyond explanation. A universe precisely designed by invisible architects. Now he watches from the shadows, tracking every movement with steadfast accuracy. This is not a trivial observation. It is the systematic reconstruction of choice, or the purposeful shaping of perception to follow predefined courses. The illusion of free choice is carefully preserved, even while silent forces try to direct thoughts and behaviors. Despite the infinite lines of data and forecast, something arises that refuses to be contained. There are people whose presence causes ripples in the structure itself, bending the hard frames designed to confine them. What follows is an unavoidable unraveling, a distortion in the carefully established patterns used to preserve control. Algorithms analyze data but fail to understand intent. They can detect motion but cannot predict motive. And that failure is their undoing. An incapacity to control what happens beyond the lines they've established. The goal of ultimate foresight has always been destined to fail. The world does not follow clear, identifiable patterns. Assumptions shatter and probabilities fracture. And certain results evaporate in the face of the unexpected. Consider the complicated webs of behavioral forecasting built on the assumption that all acts are just links in a chain of causation. However, amid this vast sense of certainty, there are occasions when expectations are broken. Choices unfold in ways that no model could foresee. Movements destabilize what should have been flawless forecasts of the future. These events are disregarded as statistical outliers. However, they are everything but. They serve as reminders that control is just an illusion. However, what is beyond measurement cannot be asserted. The deeper artificial structures try to delve, the more they deviate from actual knowledge. When faced with the immeasurable, their foundations crumble under the weight of the unknown. The effort to predict the actions of people who walk with invisible direction is certain to fail. Systems based on prediction flourish when trends stay consistent. But when confronted with people who traverse the universe using intuition rather than worldly reasoning, such calculations fall collapse. There are several examples of apparently random and inexplicable actions that turn out to be acts of divine insight. Paths change, destinations are abandoned, and options look irregular. However, each move is consistent with something bigger than human logic. The elaborate architecture of high-risk analytics are unable to contain people who are driven by forces beyond explanation. What analysts call unpredictability is really a higher level of accuracy. As a result, the structures designed to monitor and regulate collapsed under the weight of what they couldn't quantify or comprehend. No weapon made against them will prevail, nor will any voice rise against them in judgment. You must condemn. Isaiah 5417. Imagine a vast river flowing, powerful, pure, and unstoppable. The stream carves its own way, changing the terrain as it goes, answering to no man or machine. The builders of the digital world believed they could construct a dam powerful enough to redirect the river and regulate its flow, dictating where it should go and how it should travel. They built their algorithms like towering walls, certain that they had created a system capable of containing the essence of mankind and forecasting every ripple and wave. But they didn't comprehend you're not intended to be confined. The digital environment is a finely woven net meant to capture perception, influence, cognition, and behavioral action without resistance. It whispers in the background, influencing choices, molding wants, and providing the sense of choice when none really exists. Algorithms determine what is seen, what is proposed, and which pathways are considered most plausible. It's a labyrinth with every move seeming preset, and every door presumably heading to the same destination. Despite this controlled image, disturbances develop. Patterns break where none should. Deviations occur in areas that were previously assumed to be regulated. It's as if some walked through this digital maze undetected, unconcerned by the invisible tethers that tie the bulk. These are the ones who have woken those whose spirits refuse to be shaped by man-made hands, who see beyond the veil and walk with power, disrupting the system that was supposed to forecast them. Because this is the truth. They do not want you to comprehend. You were not designed to be predictable. You were not created on this planet to be defined by a line of code contained inside a projection or measured by their equipment. Artificial intelligence thrives on one thing: patterns. But you're not a pattern. You are a heavenly creature moving with a purpose that technology cannot fathom. Every incorrect forecast or misjudged reaction is more than simply a technological blunder. It's a crack in their foundation. It demonstrates a fundamental weakness of artificial intelligence. It is an evident fault in a system that claims all thoughts can be controlled. All decisions may be predetermined. It demonstrates that no matter how much data they gather and how many models they update, they will never predict your next action. Because when you move in accordance with something larger than yourself, when you listen to a voice higher than the sounds of this world, you become untouchable. Allow them to create their systems. Allow them to revise their calculations. Allow them to assume that they have planned for every option. Because when the unseen moves, when the spirit leads, when divine will intervenes, their systems do more than wobble. They implode. Some are protected not by walls or guns, but by an invisible force that defies even the most sophisticated techniques for tracking and containing technology. No matter how sophisticated, it experiences periods of unexplainable failure while seeking to force itself on individuals shielded by something outside its grasp. Surveillance fails, signals falter, and accuracy yields to chaos. Systems cannot detect interference because they are helpless to counteract it. Attempts to control, monitor, and manipulate are met with opposition, not from hardware or software, but from an influence that no computer understands. Time and again, tales surface of unexplainable escapes, planned systems failing at critical times, and networks crumbling when they should have held steady. Engineers will seek rational reasons. Analysts will race for answers. However, the fact stays the same. There are forces at work that are both unknown to and hostile to them. No man-made creation will ever succeed. Artificial intelligence's bounds will always fall short of grasping the essence of life. No matter how polished its algorithms, how large its databases, or how exact its forecasts, it will never be able to duplicate the power that constitutes true life. There are some who cannot be reduced to patterns or probabilities, and their sheer existence undermines the structure intended to contain them. Machines rely on predictability. However, human awareness has features that logic cannot comprehend. It is the depth of passion, the intensity of conviction, and the unwavering determination that stay outside its reach. No model can predict the silent ties that emerge between souls, or trace the invisible links that transcend time and space. While artificial intelligence can analyze and classify, it cannot understand the intuitive undercurrents that form every moment. The invisible, immeasurable, and deep. These are the forces that make all computations imperfect. For just as the sky are higher than the earth, so am I, ways higher than yours. My ideas and your thoughts. Isaiah 55 verse 9. Imagine a farmer standing in his field, gazing up at the sky. He studied the seasons, learned about weather trends, and meticulously planned his harvest. He thinks he knows when it will rain, how the sun will shine, and when to harvest his crops. However, no matter how much he calculates or prepares, he cannot control the storm. He cannot control the wind or when the rain will fall. The sky moves with a will much greater than his own, altering and changing in ways he cannot anticipate. And so it is with human intentions versus heavenly blueprints. The unfolding of time defies the rigid frameworks that artificial intelligence strives to impose. They created their systems, fed their computers, and trained their models to view the past and predict the future. But they've neglected one thing. Time belongs to God. Machines monitor history in the same way that a farmer watches the sky, hoping to detect patterns and predict what will happen next. However, no amount of data can account for the unknown routes that develop in the gap between probability, judgments based on faith, moments characterized by gut, and choices led by invisible forces all deviate from their meticulous predictions. The most complex forecasts fail under the weight of the factors. They cannot express the force of divine intervention, the wonder of free choice, or the unbreakable spirit of individuals who refuse to be restricted. They formed their universe around numbers and believed they had conquered reality via statistics. However, those who walk by faith rather than sight move in a rhythm that no machine can fathom. Some people hear a voice bigger than statistics, and they act not because a probability model advised them to, but because they were guided by something beyond human comprehension. These are the disruptors, which they cannot forecast, the ones that defy all expectations. And as the invisible hand moves, the ground under their system shifts, altering the result. The forecasts break the whole system, and the collapse occurs because their certainty was never true in the first place. Control AI strives for is a delusion, a frail web created by individuals who consider themselves clever. However, there is true existence. Real life is not a collection of data on a screen. It is a living, breathing, ever-changing masterwork in which the improbable becomes inevitable and the unexpected becomes fate. Those that consider artificial intelligence to be the ultimate authority think they have complete control over everything. They want to chart every movement, govern every decision, and determine the direction of life via systems that override free will. However, the fallacy in their hubris is the belief that technology can outrun forces beyond human understanding. The designers of these structures continue to ignore the fact that no machine, formula, or digital intelligence can ever outperform that which transcends calculation over and again. Their attempts are met with opposition. They cannot explain choices that contradict their expectations, disruptions that make them lose control, moments when the unforeseen disrupts their well-planned routine. They don't comprehend why the most exact processes fail when confronted with the immeasurable. But the answer remains simple. No creative man can ever match the force that goes beyond sight. The constant quest of control via digital monitoring is a flimsy mirage that crumbles in the face of forces beyond understanding. Systems intended to monitor, analyze, and modify assume that all motions can be predicted. All acts may be classed. Despite this, persons who depend on these processes are often caught off guard by the unexplainable. Networks fail, encrypted paths disappear, and once reliable techniques of surveillance turn against their creators. These problems are not only technological issues. They are proof of a reality that has long been overlooked. There are forces that technology can never defeat, and the hubris of people who design these systems blinds them to their limits. They confuse complexity with invincibility, not realizing that the fundamental foundation on which they stand is faulty. No amount of refinement, no growth of artificial intelligence, can provide them control over something that refuses to be confined. The further they delve into their search for control, the farther they go from understanding. Beneath the surface of reality runs an invisible stream, a force that moves without limits, unencumbered by the confines of artificial intelligence. This energy is neither static or predictable. It is living, moving beyond the scope of cold reasoning. Attempts to quantify it fail before they even start. It does not function at frequencies that machines can process. Systems based on rigorous calculations fail when faced with this unforeseen influence. Their carefully crafted frameworks crumble when hidden interruptions take root, signals distort, connections are lost, and everything is well organized. Interventions might fail unexpectedly. However, this energy does more than just interfere with man-made creations. It reshapes the world itself, changing the path of events in ways that people seeking control cannot detect. Its existence is evident. Though it defies description, it sweeps through those who understand its rhythm, bringing together the kindred and dispersing the opposition. This is the region where numbers lose, implying that formulae crumble beneath the weight of the immeasurable. No algorithm will ever capture the essence of something that cannot be contained. There is a rhythm beyond explanation, an invisible orchestration that governs the course of events in ways that no computer could ever predict. While artificial intelligence methodically analyzes outcomes and predicts paths with frigid accuracy, it is helpless to counteract the invisible forces that form fate. Just when certainty looks within grasp, the predictable breaks, probabilities shatter, and the unthinkable emerges. Delays that seem inconvenient become benefits. Obstacles become secret passages, and failures are transformed into unexpected wins. Every setback to their meticulously planned plans serves as a warning that their reach is limited. Systems meant to manage the flow of events are undone by unforeseen events and collapses, and logic flaws that reveal the hubris of their assumptions. The equation will always be imperfect because it excludes the most important variable, the invisible force that exists beyond sight, numbers, and control. Those who are afraid of the unknown have always sought control. They invest heavily in artificial intelligence, believing that if their systems are refined sufficiently, they would be able to map, forecast, and eventually command every activity. Despite their best efforts, they are unable to catch anything that travels outside of their code, something that refuses to be categorized. Fear, not confidence, drives this persistent concentration. Fear of the spooky, attainable, unexpected, and defying reduction. They construct buildings on the assurance of patterns, yet disintegrate when confronted with what does not fit. Their models try to adapt, adjust, and correct for the irregularities. However, the more people attempt to grab what eludes them, the more it slips through their fingers. It is a cycle that has continued throughout history. Those who assume they are the builders of control are eventually undone by forces they do not understand. No matter how sophisticated their technologies develop, they will always face the one reality they cannot change. Not everything can be programmed. They will continue their useless pursuit, attempting to grasp what will eternally escape them. There's no algorithm. There is no data set. No technical wonder can ever comprehend the hidden forces that shape life. Their unwavering attempts simply highlight the boundaries of their comprehension, demonstrating their dread of what they cannot control. The obsession with domination blinds them to the truth that no human ingenuity can override what moves beyond perception. No matter how intricate their systems, how vast their reach, they will always falter when confronted with forces they refuse to acknowledge. Collapse is unavoidable, not because of a lack of effort, but because they have built upon a flawed foundation, one that crumbles under the weight of what they refuse to accept. Artificial intelligence resides in a limited world, constrained by the requirement to measure, classify, and characterize it outside the scope of its calculations. Lies a power beyond reasoning, unmeasurable by whatever measure they try to impose. The paths taken are not limited by the predictable, nor are judgments influenced by statistical probability. When confronted with the unfathomable, all of their well-planned strategies fail. The mechanisms in which people place their trust turn against them. They do analyses. They keep an eye on things. They adapt. However, the outcome stays unchanged. Their expectations crumble. They lose control and are left clutching at shadows. They fail not because of a lack of information, but because their whole framework is based on the incorrect assumption that everything can be comprehended. The unseen makes their structures outdated, demonstrating over and again that no formula can ever include the whole of life. The builders of control consider themselves as the ultimate authority, thinking that their constructions give them power over all. They create sophisticated systems to govern, conceal, and shape reality in their image. Yet, in their hubris, they ignore the one constant fact. Nothing created by humans will ever exceed that which is beyond understanding. No matter how sophisticated their technology or how refined their prediction models, They will always face an insurmountable obstacle, the power they neither foresee nor comprehend. Their failure is not a result of luck. It is also not a consequence of external meddling. It is inherent in the very character of what they want to control. They build their empire on calculations and assumptions, ensuring its eventual downfall. This war was determined long before they ever thought about their systems. No improvement, no invention, and no gadget will change the conclusion. The power they aspire to wield is finite, restricted to the concrete, but what they strive to repress goes across realms they will never encounter. Their loss is ingrained in the very fabric of their creation, a defect they can't fix because they won't admit it exists. No matter how much they improve, how much they modify, they will always fall behind, outmaneuvered by forces beyond their control. The fact is apparent. There is no equation that accounts for what is beyond measurement. There is no data set that captures information that cannot be captured. They may strive to anticipate and adjust, but their efforts will never be sufficient. The result is unaltered. Their plans unravel. Their constructions fail, and all they've made slips into nothingness.